All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cody Tucker Show. As always, I'm your host, Cody Tucker. Be sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. You know, share with a friend, maybe someone who's got a lot of free time and nothing better to do than to listen to the, ranting ravings of I would say, a decently unstable brain. So, without further ado, I guess we should start from there. So, before we kick into things, as always, just kind of a little update on what's going on in the old world of big CT. So, not a lot. I mean, actually, I have noticed that most of the things that I've talked about whenever I do start things off has to do with fast food and my, experiences with the food industry as a whole. And I might as well keep the tradition running. So, went to Subway 3 days ago. Yeah, 3 days ago. Subway, usually pretty damn good. Always, I would say, fair. Like, you don't have, I mean, it's usually not a very, hit or miss place like some places are. But, go to this Subway. Haven't gotten a meatball sub in a long time. Now, that may be surprising to most people, because I look like the exact demographic for the foot-long meatball sub. And I mean, you'd kind of be right, because that is one of my favorite subs from Subway. Go order meatball sub. Immediately notice that there's an old lady working here who is training the two fellas, I would say probably early 20s. She's got to be damn near 80. And she's training these two young men. And it doesn't look like she's doing a great job. So first off, just order a meatball sub, and they immediately fuck it up. I mean, within minutes of it getting prepared, I'm looking at it, I'm like, holy shit, this isn't good. And so I'm like, all right, don't be an asshole. These people are training. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, and this old lady isn't fucking doing anything to help them out. So, be kind of polite. We finally get to where the motherfucker's putting on the vegetables, so meatball sub order, in case anyone is even remotely interested in this, always add spinach, onion, jalapenos, and a shit ton of ranch. Sounds disgusting, I think, probably to most people, but it is fucking amazing, and it will give you, I mean, the girth on the girth on the turds that come out after a foot-long meatball sub loaded with ranch and jalapenos. I mean, it is, I don't know what colon cancer, what it feels like necessarily, but I imagine it's pretty similar to the feeling you get about an hour and 15 minutes after eating one of these damn things. And it doesn't help that I also eat it in, probably less than 3 minutes. But anyways, I digress. This motherfucker goes to fold the goddamn sub and cut it. And instead of flipping bread over, having bread and, cutting through like that, where it's at least somewhat stable, this son of a bitch turns it up, ass end up, and starts slicing through the middle, and it is just it looks like it looks like he got ran over by a car. It kind of looks like a miscarriage, if I'm being quite frank. Like a 2.5 trimester in miscarriage put into a loaf of Italian urban cheese. And I look at it and look at him, and he's looking up at me like he's fucking terrified, doesn't know what's going on. I'm just looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up. And I just go I'm good, man, and walk out. And I have never felt better in my life. Because normally I am really pretty much a grade A bitch when it comes to any kind of like confrontation. And I'm trying to make myself be more confrontational, which I don't think is necessarily a great goal to have, but it has become a goal of mine, is to not let people walk all over me. Now, I mean, boy, for for me to act like the people at Subway are anyways. But that has been my goal in life, is to, or recently at least, is to, like, if I don't want something, if I don't want to do something, not doing it, not taking it, not paying for it. Fuck you, I'm out. That has been my MO, my modus operandi, recently. And to just see this fucking monstrosity of a meatball sub just laying there, falling off. I mean, it looked like Pizza the Hut in Spaceballs. Like it looked like it was falling off of his fat ass. And and to just walk out and be like, this is y'all's fucking problem now, felt amazing. Now, definitely heard some shit talking whenever I left, or as I was leaving. I was like, oh, damn. And then the bitch in me kind of came back out, and instead of like going back to confront the shit talking, I just like walked out real fast. And well, whatever. I felt amazing for it. And I suggest everyone else do it. You go to a restaurant, fast food, whatever. I mean, Subway's the perfect example because you can actually see how fucked up your things are before you actually get them. I mean, you know, I guess it's probably a little harder to do at McDonald's, which actually, crazy as this sounds, went to McDonald's yesterday. I know I'm eating way too much fast food. Went to McDonald's yesterday. My go-to order, 2 McDoubles, no pickles or onion, add Big Mac sauce, large fries. It's probably too much. But normally, because they're adding this goddamn Big Mac sauce on there, when you open it up, it looks like, I mean, my God. I mean, it looks like they literally just took the fucking Mac sauce and just sprayed the paper with it. It is horrible looking. And, you know, I usually just am like, oh, fuck it. Like, basically, I become a crackhead, and I'm just, like, shoveling this shit in. And I end up with Mac sauce all over my face. This time, fucking perfect. Like, everything looked like the goddamn pictures, which has never happened to me at a fast food place. I've never been to any fast food establishment and had my meal look like the picture. Sure enough, this time it fucking happened, and boy was I mean, anyways, it was really a bit of a diversion that I shouldn't have taken. So anyways, back to Subway. Or just the whole, the point of any of this is, if you don't like the way something is turning out, don't do it. That could be fast food, marriage, life. Life, maybe. I mean, don't, you know, I mean, I know it's a bit of the absurdism, you know, thought, but, you know, if you don't like the way shit's going, stop doing it. Don't pay for shit. Don't do shit. Don't work on shit. Stop doing it. Quit. Quitting is awesome. Now, I mean, I know walking out of Subway is in a way quitting. I mean, I didn't have to spend fucking $12. I mean, how in the hell is Subway that expensive now? It is. I mean, I know we're in a, you know, with the changing of presidencies, inflation rises, whatever. Subway should not be more like the $5 footlong thing is long gone. Like, there's no $5 like 6-inch. Like, I was looking at it, and like the cheapest footlong looked to be about $8. Like, how in the fuck is it? This makes no sense. And I'll say this, and this might be where I stop it, because, well, this probably isn't like the greatest thing to say. Subway was way better when Jared Fogle was representing him. I mean, you know, the fucker he was up to no good. But Subway was leaps and bounds better during the reign of fucking Pope Jared the Fogle. God, I mean, and okay, and also, by the way, I know a lot. I mean, if anyone is actually listening to this, which there's no way. I mean, I'm sure that whatever amount of people started listening, that number has dropped by 95% in 10 minutes, which is understandable. For anybody who is still listening to this and is like, oh, you're a piece of shit. You don't know what it's like to work at fucking fast food. Like, it's blah, 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 blah. Hey, asshole. Guess what my first job was? Goddamn Subway. So, so kiss my ass. I know how easy that job is. It is maybe to this day the easiest job I've ever had. It's way easier than this shit, and I'm just sitting here talking about nothing. Way easier than this. Subway was the easy. I literally, like, I don't remember working. Like, I might have in the, I mean, granted, pretty brief time working there. I might have made like 6 sandwiches in the entire time I was there. I spent the majority of my shifts sitting in the walk-in refrigerator in the dark, listening to music. And like, begging people for cigarettes, and then whenever I'd get one, go out there and take like a 30-minute cigarette break. I was the worst employee of all time. Which would explain why I do not work there anymore. But anyways, easy job. It is, I mean, it's the easiest job on earth. And so there's no excuse to be that bad at it. There just isn't. And if you're going to keep making the prices go up on shit, you should start expecting people to not, this aggression will not stand. You should expect people to not want to pay for shit. That's going to become my new thing. And I know maybe it's the fucking Karen mentality, which is fine. I don't see that as an insult. I mean, I think being a Karen, you just know what you want and you don't put up with bullshit. Now, if, your neighbors are being kind of loud, don't fucking call the cops on them. That's that kind of behavior. Bunch of bullshit. Anything that isn't directly affecting you, mind your own goddamn business. But if I go to a place, customer service isn't good, food isn't good, whatever, I'm complaining from now on. As soon as I take a bite and it is not worth the whatever amount of money, like, I'm just going to go off the amount of money. So, like, McDonald's, very cheap. Food isn't going to be that great. But actually, McDonald's is pretty goddamn good. The more expensive it is, the better it should be. So if I go to a place, say I go to Outback, a nice, high-quality restaurant, and I order a steak. If that steak isn't cooked well enough, I'm going to, like, compare it to the price of said steak. If you're picturing this as like a bar graph, or not a bar graph, like a line graph, you have quality and then cost. If those numbers intersect and the cost goes above the if the cost line goes above quality line, complaint manager, full Karen mode. I don't care. I'm complaining and I'm not paying for this. Or I'll pay half. I'll tell you what. I will go to a restaurant, order the food, and then I will pay you what I think it's worth. If it is worth the cost that you were charging, hey, I'm paying. And I also, I mean, not to sound like a complete asshole, I do tip, like, I would say pretty well. I mean, granted, I don't think tipping should be a thing. You definitely should just be paying fucking waiters way more and not have tipping be like tipping should be something that is like an extra, like a real extra, like where if somebody's like really good, you're like, oh shit, dude, like here, you deserve like $20. And it should not be shared with everybody else. Boy, I mean, I've never worked in a restaurant before. I mean, unless you count Subway as a restaurant, which it's basically a fucking, elementary school cafeteria. But I've never worked in a restaurant, never had to do the tip sharing bullshit. that would drive me nuts. There is no way. Because I would be looking at every single person being like, you don't deserve it, you don't deserve it, you don't deserve it. Like, there's no way. I'm not sharing this isn't fucking Red China. Jesus Christ. There's no chance. Like, we're in fucking, Khrushchev's Moscow. There's no way I'm sharing everything. Like, we get paid equally. Fuck you, I did more than you. So, no. We don't get paid equally. Restaurants should be, everybody gets paid like a, whatever decent wage. And you get tipped if you go above and beyond. Otherwise, if you don't want to go above and beyond, if you just want to do bare minimum, that's fine. You're going to get still an okay wage. And the people who go aren't expected to tip. Make the menu items, make the prices a little bit higher to, balance it out. That's fine. Because you're not going to tip every time. You're only going to tip if your waiter's really fucking good, or waitress. So, I guess there's my economics rant for the day, but I feel like I'm on the right side of this. I feel like this is definitely how things should be. And I know I am a real dumb bastard when it comes to most things. But I do feel like I'm right about this. I have never felt more right about something in my life than this, way of thinking that I have kind of, accumulated over the recent years. I'm just not paying for shit anymore. I'm not putting up with shit. If someone kind of gets annoying, fuck you. Never talking to you again. Fuck off. Anyone. Family, friends, doesn't matter. I'm just not dealing with it. I'm not paying for Subway if you basically cut my goddamn sub. It looked like he cut that damn thing with a hammer. He may as well. He may as well have used a sledgehammer to cut that fucking sub in half. Oh my God. He could have turned it into a goddamn Gallagher show. Put me on a little plastic poncho and just smash that shit. And it still would have looked better than what this idiot was doing. Yeah, you think I'm paying fucking $10 for that? You are out of your mind. And, boy. With the price increase of cigarettes over the years, I can't afford to be doing that. Hell no. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm right about this. If you agree, leave a comment. If you disagree, fuck off. That'll be, there's no way anyone's hearing this. I am talking into nothing right now, which is fine. That has been that's basically been what's been going on for the past, 2 years. So, fuck it. Maybe this is just for my own mental health. So I wonder if there's anything else I'd like to get off my chest. No, probably not. But I think there are some questions. So I guess I could go through some of those. Let's see. Hold on. Let me get the fucking goddamn. Here we go. I think there's a couple that got sent in. Yeah, there are. Okay. There we go. Boy. I apologize to anyone who is listening to this. Actually, no, I don't. You don't have to listen to this. There's a million other podcasts. So if you are listening to this, for some reason you find this interesting, thank you. And the ones who stopped listening to it, fuck you. But also, you're not listening, so you would never know that, you won't know any of this is happening. All right, so first question. I was sent in, let's see. Holy fuck, my eyes are bad. Jesus Christ. All right. Which movie character would be a complete asshole if he was a real person? Ooh, boy. That is a good one. Okay, go to Ferris Bueller. I feel like I've talked about this a few times. Ferris Bueller is the worst movie character of all time. If he was a real person. As a movie character, amazing. You want to be Ferris Bueller. If so 100%, I'm Cameron. I'm sick. laying in bed, don't bother me. I damn sure don't want to go to a parade, a Cubs game, and, get chased by my principal, who ended up being a bit of a pedo. I don't want to be involved in any of this. And you end up being basically the reason why I went on this rant about my father and sent his Ferrari straight out the back, which, why would you have a garage that's like 2 stories tall? Because if you are driving that car, and the back of the garage is just glass, so you already have a garage that's looks to be about 25 feet off the ground. The wall is gas. If you are pulling that Ferrari in and accidentally kind of slip on the gas a little bit, you are launching yourself, one, through thousands of pieces of razor sharp glass. If that doesn't kill you, the collision of you going 25 feet down into just woods is also going to do it. A horrible design. And so, maybe not necessarily Cameron's fault. Cameron's dad, a complete asshole. But that being said, Ferris Bueller is... So there are certain people who just always have to be doing something. They can't just hang out and relax. Like I said, we have to go here. We should go here. We should go do this. We should go do this. Fuck those people. I, as surprising as this may sound, am not one of those people. I am let's just hang out, shoot the shit. I mean, when I was drinking, have a few drinks and, but now, chug a couple Diet Dr. Peppers and just rip through a pack of Marlboros. That is my ideal Friday night. But there are some people that are like, oh, I want to go to this bar, and then this bar, and then this bar, and then go out to eat here. And no, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to be out in public. I don't need to be seen in public. For what? I don't like any of these fucking people anyways. And I'm sure they don't, they probably feel the same way about me. Fair enough. But yeah, I'm not a let's go do something type person. It is what it is. Now, Ferris Bueller is a let's go do something. And he basically gets Cameron murdered. I mean, there is a 0% chance that either Cameron, one of two things happen. Either Cameron is killed by his father, and his father goes to prison. Or Cameron, in just because in the end of Ferris Bueller, Cameron's okay with it. He's obviously freaking out, but then he's kind of okay with it. And he's yeah, you know what? Fuck him. I'll say it was me, blah, blah, blah. Because Ferris was, that's right, because Ferris is going to take the rap for it. He ends up not doing it. Cameron's no, I'll do it. I'll handle this. I need to get shit off my chest. By the time, once Cameron has had a moment to sit and think about it, there ain't no way. He, one, is either blaming Ferris. Ferris did it. Kill him. Or Cameron gets so overworked about what's going to happen that he just puts the barrel of a gun right under his chin and ends it. That's what happens to Cameron. I, granted, not necessarily a suicidal person, much to the dismay of some people. That's me. I'm 100% overthinking everything. I am an overthinker. A Cameron. I overthink everything. Immediately go to worst case scenario. Can't handle confrontation, as I talked about. Working on it, but still, no. When I was especially kid up until teenage years, if I knew I was going to get in trouble over something, the amount of just petrifying fear that would just wash over me, I mean, it was damn near crippling. Just a terrified bitch. And then I remember hearing a story. Holy fuck, this is going to take a real dark turn. Oh well. So I remember I got into a little bit of trouble when I was 16, 17. And I had to do this little teen court thing. It was the biggest load of bullshit I've ever been a part of. But basically you have to you You've committed a crime. You have to go up to like a panel of other teenagers who would decide how much community service or worse that you end up having, which is how that is allowed is insane. I mean, I guess a jury of one's own peers, that nails it on the head. But still, a bunch of fucking 16-year-olds should not be in charge of, anyone's fate. So regardless, I had to sit in there, and you have to take these fucking things with cops. Like, this cop has to, like, come in all the time and, like, talk to you, basically scare you straight. And I remember he told this story, and it still, like, fucks my head up when I think about it. Because I do think about it, like, every once in a while. So, and it kind of, like, changed my perception on, like, just not being worried about getting in trouble. Which actually might have been a kind of worse, because then I just started going kind of off the rails. I was like, fuck it, why not? But the story, holy shit. So I'm going to apologize in advance, because this is not a pleasant story. But, so this officer told us, and this is a group of like 8 or 9 16-year-olds, 16, 17-year-olds, told us this story that he got called out to a scene one day. And what had happened was there was a little boy about 10 years old who got in trouble at school for something very small, but had a just terrifying fear of getting in trouble. And knows the whole day that the teacher has called his parents. Parents have been stewing over it. And just the fear and anxiety is built up all day. He's on the bus ride home. Gets off the bus. Immediately walks over towards the back of the bus. Lays down with his head in front of the back set of tires. So that when the bus left, it would... Yeah. And it did. So... this officer is called out and sees basically a normal neck down and then neck up. Basically what my meatball sub turned into. Throwback? That's not what it's called. Full circle? We'll just say full circle. Oh boy. But anyways, so that's what happened. This little kid was so terrified that he was going to get in trouble with his parents, which he probably was, but it wouldn't have been anything that crazy. He had just been so afraid of getting in trouble and having to, like, confront his parents about what had happened in school, which, again, was something the cop found out was something super small. Like, it was like, talking when the teacher's talking, something very, very small. That he fucking got his head crushed by a school bus. And I think about that shit, I would say at least once a week, that image kind of like, that whole kind of like scenario image goes around in my head for, a couple minutes. And it's probably going to do the same for you, so you're welcome. But the whole moral of the story from the officer was like, if you get in trouble, don't be afraid of don't be too afraid of the consequences. Like, handle your punishment. Hopefully the punishment will be, similar to the crime. But handle it. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid of getting in trouble that you end up doing something that drastic. And that kind of stuck with me. And pretty much from then on, I just started doing whatever I wanted. I was like, I mean, I'm not afraid to, get in trouble anymore. Which is not. So I think his story might have actually backfired for me, but so maybe that'll help out somebody if they're listening. I don't know. Probably not, but yeah. All right, let's do the next question. Oh, okay. This would be a good one. Would you cannibalize someone to survive on a stranded island? Yeah. Let me tell you what little would have to happen to me for me to cannibalize someone. So one, I would not have to be on a stranded island. If I ever ended up on a stranded island, Actually, I wonder what the, like, acceptable time frame is before, like, hunting each other down and eating them becomes. Like, when does that become acceptable? Because for me, I am 100% sure it is way shorter of a time frame than most people. Like, I am doing it in, I would say 30 minutes. I'd say we have 30 minutes to figure out if there's somebody else on this island who, like, is just vacationing or something. With the time it takes to circumvent the island and find out if there's any kind of boat or anything, however long that takes, once we come back around and realize, like, no, this is just a deserted island, it's on. I mean, I am, I ain't waiting. I'm not sitting around. One, coconuts are just, if you've ever eaten a raw coconut, it is not what you think it is. It is so goddamn disgusting. Like the taste, horrible. So, yeah, I ain't living off of that. No, I'm hunting you down and eating you. An hour tops. Yeah, hour tops. For me to do my little section of the island, you do yours, you do yours. Yeah, no. I mean, would I cannibalize someone to survive? Yeah. I mean, like whenever I was reading actually not too long ago about the Donner Party, which I might do a video on that because I guess that is exactly what I'm doing right now. But basically the Donner Party, bunch of settlers, not settlers necessarily. I guess you'd say like pioneers in a way. It's a group of people who were trying to go west and I believe try to make it to California. And I think somewhere in either Utah or Colorado, I'm pretty sure Colorado, they were told by their guide that there was a shortcut, which, no such thing. If shortcuts were shortcuts, like if shortcuts worked, that would just be how everybody goes. So when someone says there's a shortcut, no, there isn't. But regardless, these fucking idiots believed them. And of course, they ended up trapped on like a snowy mountain in like, goddamn, 8 feet of snow, I think. And of course, eventually ate each other. Now, them eating each other is not the surprising part to me. The surprising part is that it took them like weeks before they started eating each other. Like when I was reading this, I was like, wait. Like, as I saw the date when they were talking about like when the first person was killed and ate. And I was like, hold on a second. When did they fucking get trapped? And look, it was like over a week. Like, there's no way. Like, as soon as we end up in 8 feet of snow, and I'm like, I don't think we're getting down here anytime soon. I'm fucking rear naked choke, putting you out, and it's stew time. There's no way. Out of your mind. Anyways. So, to answer in short, yeah, I'll eat somebody. All right. And is there anything else I was going to talk about? So I don't think I'm going to do any news this week. I've already kind of rambled on and on quite a bit. There really wasn't that much to talk about. Ooh. Actually, I did watch, so I believe, is it called The Challenge? Squid Game's The Challenge? Hold on, let me look. I don't want to get the fucking name wrong. Anyways, I watched the Squid Game. So I've never seen Squid Game before. The actual show. Never seen it. It didn't, oh God. Jesus. Yes. Alright, so it is called Squid Game The Challenge. So, I've never seen Squid Game. It just did not seem that interesting to me. Although the plot, it should be. It's like the exact type of shit I like watching. But anyways, I will watch it. But Squid Game Challenge started. And so I was like, all right, I got to watch this. Because the last episode was about to come on, which, as of the recording of this, is done. So A little bit of a recap on this show. So I watched the whole thing, didn't read any reviews, had heard some of the stories of the, people who were like, I guess about to sue Netflix for like emotional and physical stress, which immediately in my head I was like, damn, this must be like insane. Like they must be doing like crazy stuff on this show. And then I watched it and kept watching it, thinking like, okay, when is that going to happen? And let me tell you this. So then I end up looking at the reviews and they're horrible. And I was like, man, I thought people fucking loved this thing. Let me tell you this. It is, I can confidently say, the worst show I have ever seen in my life. Without a doubt. And I think I'm putting that above Friends, which used to be, by far number one. This show, I've never felt like more of my life was wasted than watching this bullshit. So for one, there's 456 people competing in this. How is it possible to get a room of 456 people and not have a single likable person in the entire group? None of them. I wanted none of them to win. Like the whole time I'm like, okay, eventually there's going to be somebody on here who is likable. No, not at all. Not a single person. You have one dude who's just this egotistical prick who like kind of played college football. Cool. One dude and his mom who had a very weird relationship. One guy who was like, spewing autism and almost throwing up every time something stressful happened. I was like, why are you on here? Now, nothing happened on this show. Nothing. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't entertaining. I was like waiting for the moment of when does something crazy happen that would lead multiple people to say, we need to sue Netflix for stress. Let me tell you something. Either they must have just picked the weakest minded 456 people they could find. That has to be what it was. Because you're also competing for almost $4.5 million. Now, as a lifelong watcher of Survivor, which greatest television show ever made. Never missed an episode, been watching it since day one. They're only competing for $1 million, and it is way harder. There is not a single thing that they had to do on this fucking Squid Games thing that even comes close to what they're doing on Survivor. They are on a stranded island and not cannibalizing each other, which is, to me, already impossible. But they're getting like damn near like trench foot, malaria. A few might have gotten AIDS. I don't know. All kinds of stuff. Getting just the shit beat out of them. Starving. Like, really starving. And having to, like, constantly manipulate people. So you want to talk about emotional, physical, mental stress. That's what that is. Nobody's going on the show and being like, oh, I can't believe I had to go through these conditions. Like in Squid Games, people were pissed off because it was a little cold during one of the challenges. How is that and then you watch the people on the show and you're like, okay, it makes sense. Every single person on this show is just a complete bitch. Everybody. Every single one of them. They're crying every single time somebody's leaving. I'm like, do you know how I would be acting if I was on that show? Every time somebody was out, I would be losing my mind, cheering like, yes, one less person I have to deal with. Survivor, they're not fucking doing that. They're like they're not, sometimes they are because they actually built they're on the show, I think, way longer on Survivor. I don't know how long they were on Squid Games for, but it couldn't have been more than 2 weeks. And it is just the most weak-minded people I've ever seen put into a room together. And there's almost 500 of them. If you haven't watched it, just go ahead and watch it just to see how frustrating this show is. It is, I've never been more angry in my life watching a show than watching this. Could not find a single person that I was like actually rooting for. And actually, there was somebody on the show who was on Survivor. They were the only person who wasn't like crying every time that something happened. Well, there you go. Like every time they're acting like these people are actually dying, which already, God, the whole thing of like having the little squib packs in their chest that burst and then they have to like pretend like they're dead was already just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But they're like, the other people are acting like they actually just got shot in the goddamn head. It's like this, I mean, everyone on that show. Like, I don't get, are people just like that now? Like, are people just, and I know I'm like a decently weak-minded person too, but I'm also not trying to go on a reality TV competition show. Only one I would ever go on is Jeopardy, and I think I would do like decently well just because I know a bunch of random bullshit. But like, you know, you're up there for what, 30 minutes? It's like, all right, I can handle that. Like, I'm not going on something. One, I'm not sleeping with a bunch of strangers. Ain't happening. I mean, no. And if you're rationing my portions, already big issue. I just don't get it. I don't get how this show is such a phenomenon. Maybe I need to watch the regular one and just see. Because if it is anything like this the real version, oh my God. I mean, literally no one on the show is likable. No one. If there was somebody on that show that you were rooting for to win, now that it's all said and done and over, tell me. Because I'm curious to see like who you think. The only person there's like an older Vietnamese lady. I'm not going to spoil like where she ends up on the thing or whatever, just in case. But she's the only one who's like a smidge likable. Everybody else, hell no. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how you could have that many people in a room and not find a single person who doesn't just make your fucking skin crawl. I don't know. Such is life, I guess. Alright, well, with that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and move on to a little bit of the old education section. So we'll do a little bit of the old where that come from and move on from there. Hopefully, you know, that'll be more entertaining than the last, 45 minutes. Okay. All right. So time for a little bit of the old where that come from. Take a word or phrase that you use damn near every day. May not know exactly where it comes from. Now you will. So, for this one, we're going back to the 1500s in Southeast Asia. At this time, there were a group of warriors who basically were like Asian Vikings, in the sense that like dying in battle was number one priority. Like, to die in battle is the most glorious thing you could do. Similar to the Vikings, similar to this group. This group would also take an insane amount of drugs before going into battle and just completely fuck people up. Like, brutal, like savagery. And this group of warriors ended up becoming super feared. Like, all across Southeast Asia, people terrified of this group of warriors. So this group were called the Amuko. And they, again, just fearless warriors. Their, like, ultimate goal is to die in battle. So they have nothing to lose. And they're going in fucking balls out, just destroying people. And, yeah, again, feared all across Southeast Asia. Well, that fear and the kind of legend of this group, the Amuko, ends up making its way to Europe. And these stories of the Amuko and their, wild shit ends up becoming kind of like popular in Europe. Like people are kind of fascinated by this group of people because they're like, holy shit, who are these guys? Well, as it makes its way into Europe, it kind of gets Europeanized. That can't be a word. Europeanized? Urinized. It eventually gets urinized into amuko. So it goes from amuko to amuko. That ends up becoming amok. So from then on, anytime somebody is going crazy or to kind of go crazy on someone became running amok. So yeah, that's where it comes from. A wild-ass group of Southeast Asian warriors from the 1500s. So there's that. Time to move on to a little bit of the old half-ass. All right, so time for a little half-ass history. Got, three pretty interesting ones lined up for you. So first one involves legendary singer-songwriter Harry Nilsson. So if you don't know, so Harry Nilsson, legendary singer-songwriter from the 60s and 70s, had quite a few hits, wrote some music for Midnight Cowboy. Harry Nilsson, legend. Well, Harry Nilsson at one point owned a flat in London. This flat, little apartment building in London, this flat that was owned by Harry Nilsson, a lot of the times he would just let people stay over who were in London, needed a place to crash, and he'd say, yeah, fuck it, you can stay over at the flat. So one time in 1974, in July of 1974, Mama Cass from Mamas and the Papas was in London doing a 2-week kind of residency at the Palladium in London. Well, during this 2-week span, she, obviously not from London, kind of needs a place to crash. At the end of that 2-week residency, she asked Harry Nilsson, hey, can I, stay a couple nights in your flat? Harry Nilsson's like, yeah, sure, why not? Well, on July 29th, 1974, Mama Cass went to sleep in Harry Nilsson's flat, never woke up. Yeah, she died from a massive heart attack that night at age 32. Remember that age 32. So Mama Cass dies super young from a heart attack in Harry Nilsson's flat. Harry Nilsson is kind of creeped out by this, obviously, and is very hesitant to ever let people stay over there anymore. Well, 4 years later, The Who, back in London, and the drummer, one of the greatest drummers of all time, Keith Moon, calls up Harry Nilsson. It's like, hey, back in London, need a place to crash. It's okay if I crash in your flat. Harry Nilsson does not want him staying there. One, he already believes this flat is cursed. Two, Keith Moon at this point has a pretty public substance abuse problem. So Harry Nilsson's already like, I don't think so. The guitarist, Pete Townsend, basically convinces Harry Nilsson by saying, and I quote, lightning does not strike in the same place twice. Yeah, that is a quote from Pete Townsend. Lightning does not strike in the same place twice. Well, on September 7th, 1978, Keith Moon, staying at that flat, died from a massive overdose in the exact same bed that Mama Cass also died in. Keith Moon was also 32 years old. Yeah. Oh boy. So yeah, there's the story of Harry Nilsson's haunted apartment. Oh boy. That is, yeah, wild. Now granted, Mama Cass did, the rumors that Mama Cass choked on a ham sandwich. She did it. Just had a massive heart attack. Was, very overweight. Sure did a lot of drugs. Keith Moon was trying to get rid of his alcoholism, and at the time there was these pills that were prescribed to people to get over alcoholism that basically made you feel drunk, and like they would make you apparently like super sick if you drank while taking them. Well, Keith Moon ended up taking about a handful of them, and yeah, that's what happened to him. So, in case anybody's thinking that like there actually is a curse in Harry Nelson's Flat, it isn't. Both people, it was kind of likely that they were going out pretty young. So, all right, so there's the story of Harry Nelson's Flat. Time to move on to the next. All right, so next one. This is, without a doubt, the craziest coincidence I've ever heard in my life. I mean, this one is fucking bananas. So, it involves arguably one of the greatest feats of engineering in U.S. history, and it is the iconic Hoover Dam. So, Hoover Dam, massive. If you've never been, at some point try to go, and when you see it in person, you're like, oh my God. Hoover Dam, this monumental feat of engineering. It took 20,000 people to construct the Hoover Dam. There was enough concrete poured into the Hoover Dam that you could have actually made a highway from San Francisco to New York City. Yeah, Hoover Dam, massive. 20,000 people in total worked on the construction of the Hoover Dam. Now, construction of the dam started in 1931. The first person, so a little backup. So 20,000 people in total worked on the construction of the Hoover Dam from start to finish. As you might expect, construction sites back then, not necessarily the safest places. Quite a few people died building the Hoover Dam. Now, the first person to actually die during the construction of the Hoover Dam actually was 9 years earlier. A fellow by the name of J.G. Tierney in 1922 was surveying the area of where they were going to construct the Hoover Dam and ended up drowning in the waters where they were going to start the construction site. So J.G. Tierney is out surveying the waters near where they're going to start the construction. He ends up drowning, dead. So that's technically the first person to die, during the construction of the Hoover Dam. Now, Hoover Dam starts the actual construction in 1931, goes on, construction lasts 14 years. Over that 14 years, 94 more people die. Well, 14 years to the date of J.G. Tierney's death, there is a fella working on the Hoover Dam, falls from an electrical tower, dies. He becomes the 96th and final person to die building the Hoover Dam. That guy was Patrick Tierney, the son of J.G. Tierney, the first person to die. Oh my God. Crazy. Like, that is absolutely insane. Yeah. Also, little fun fact, the average pay, 86 cents per day to work on that damn thing. And also, if you haven't been, it's in the desert. So, yeah, probably not the easiest working conditions, too. So, boy. Yeah, there's that one. And we'll do one more and wrap it up for the week. All right, so the last one, this is going to be the story of, I would say, one of the biggest debacles in Hollywood history. So, at least, the film industry part of Hollywood. So, for this story, we're going back to 1928. Hollywood, 1928. Still pretty early into the film industry. A lot of pretty lax safety precautions. Not a lot of restrictions going on. Well, there's a director by the name of Michael Curtiz, who later would become very famous as the director of Casablanca. But before he made Casablanca, old Michael Curtiz wanted to make a movie about Noah's Ark. Now, in 1928, not a lot of special effects going on. Definitely no CGI. So, how do you make the flood scene? Well, the only the only answer that he had was, well, we'll just make an actual flood, film it, and hope for the best. Now, as you might expect, it did not go very well. So, the cinematographer was a fellow by the name of Hal Moore. Hal Moore very much against this idea. He's like, there ain't no way we're doing this. Like, this is super dangerous. He is, completely against the idea. Not interested in being part of this disaster. The reason he's not interested in it is because about 22 years earlier, he survived the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, one of the largest natural disasters in American history. So he's not interested in being part of another disaster. So he just walks off the set and is like, I'm done. Not involved in this. Good luck with the lawsuits. Michael Curtis is like, all right, screw it. Like, we're still doing this. So he ends up having 15,000 tons of freezing cold water dumped onto this movie set, right onto the extras, the animals, everybody that's supposed to be part of this flood scene. Films it and is like, here we go. This is this is our flood scene. Well, old Hal Moore was right. It ends up being a complete disaster. So, for one, 15,000 tons of freezing cold water being dumped onto one location. Gonna be pretty dangerous. 3 people, so 3 of the extras end up dying. Drown in the water, dead. One of them has his legs so screwed up that he has to have it amputated. And then on top of that, dozens and dozens of other extras have to be rushed to the hospital with broken bones. Some of them end up with pneumonia. Not good. Well, one of those extras was a fellow by the name of Marion Morrison. Now, you would know Marion Morrison better by his stage name, John Wayne. So that was John Wayne's, welcome to the industry moment. Holy shit. All right, so that'll do it for today. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time,